It was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. who said, "Nothing in all the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity." And that's exactly the topic that we're here to discuss today. But more specifically, we're here to discuss why Cynthia G is a racist and a bigot. Cynthia G, as best I can tell, fancies herself as some sort of a black issues activist. And though we're here to discuss a specific video, before we do so, I just want to throw out some of the titles of some of the gems that Cynthia has put onto the internet. Is interracial dating the new form of slavery? Why white pride is pestilence? If you are black and still a Christian, you are a slave. White lies ancient Africans were white. Wow. You know, Cynthia, and to anybody who's watching, if you're going to talk about an issue, any kind of an issue, and you're going to make a claim, any kind of a claim, especially a claim that you feel is in common knowledge, you have the burden of providing evidence. And in your video, you don't provide any evidence of any type, which is why really nobody is obligated to address your statements, because they're just unsubstantiated statements. However, in the interest of civil discourse, I got curious about your claim that white people are genetically inferior and we can't, quote, ensure our own survival. And I went and I looked up the stats. I looked up the stats from our own government. That's about as solid as a statistic can get. It's about as solid as the facts can get. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to cut into some of the video just so we can get some perspective.
Because I just have to put this video out here. I know a lot of people who subscribe to my channel and who look at the videos and they comment on them. You'll probably notice the influx of the white supremacist trolls that want to come on my video and spew their rhetoric. So actually this video is actually for the white trolls. So my first thing is, let me educate these high IQ white trolls, because I get a lot of white trolls on here that want to sit here and say, oh, white people are intellectually superior to black people. And then I also get a lot of comments about racism. So to all of these high IQ white people that don't know the definition of racism, let me just tell you what the definition of racism is. And you know what? I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to put the Merriam and the Webster's dictionary definition of racism so you can know exactly what it is. Racism is not liking white people. Racism means that you feel that because of your race, you are superior to another group or another race of people. That is what racism is. So me not liking white people based off their actions and their evil ways doesn't have anything to do with racism.
Now, I don't think that the audience is so stupid that they can't figure out what racism is on their own. I'm sure most of you are intelligent enough to look it up online or to intrinsically know what it is because you've received the basic education. But since she said she was going to put it up and didn't, I figured I would make good on her broken promise for her. As you can see from what she has had to say, if you put that up next to the actual definition of racism, you can see that she's taken the absolute most narrow example of racism while choosing to ignore all of the other ones which are applicable to her. Cynthia, you are a racist. You are an ignorant racist. Thankfully for you, you live in America, where your right to be whatever you want is protected. You are protected in the act of being an ignorant racist. You're welcome. People like me who served in the military have ensured that you have the right to be an ignorant racist if that's what you want to be. You're very welcome.
Me stating facts about your genetic ability or lack thereof is not racism. Now, if I was to sit here and say black people are superior to white people based solely on the fact that we are black and you are white, then that would be racism. However, if I can say I don't like you, that just means I don't like you. I can be prejudiced, I can be bigoted, but for me to be racist, that's a separate issue.
As a free-thinking, educated adult, I feel that it's really important to have a firm grasp on the English language. That way we can understand what we're really saying and how others interpret us. And here she tries to make a distinction between racism and prejudice, but really they walk the same line, Cynthia. And you're an ignorant, racist, prejudiced individual. And I think it's pathetic. So if you take a moment to read the definition of prejudice, or the ones that apply specifically to you, is that you have an unfavorable opinion or feeling formed beforehand without knowledge, thought, or reason. You have unreasonable feelings, opinions, or attitudes, especially of a hostile nature regarding an ethnic, racial, or social, or religious group. In this case, you have all of those.
And so it's really interesting that you have all these genius and high IQ white people who don't even know the basic definition of racism. That's number one. Number two, you can't be a superior person while literally being genetically inferior to the very people that you claim to be superior to. So this doesn't have anything to do with racism. This doesn't have anything to do with me not liking white people. I don't dislike all white people. I don't think all white people are the same. I don't think all white people hold a white supremacist evil mentality. I think the majority do, but I don't think that every white person has that. So this isn't even directed towards every white people, but for the white supremacists and the bigoted and the hateful Jim Crow mentality, white people who want to spew their false rhetoric of superiority that's literally baseless and doesn't have any merit to it. You are the ones that I'm talking to. The ones who really want to sit there and troll the videos and dispute facts and never really give any evidence to support their rebuttal. This is for you. For the ones that think that you are actually superior to a group of people who can do way more than you, that you literally could not survive without, this is for you. The sole purpose, let me tell you, with every species, this one of the sole most important purposes for that species is to ensure genetic survival, and they do this through procreation. In order for them to do this, though, the genetics of whatever species it is, it has to be able to survive through the process of natural selection. Now, we don't control that process. This is a process that is designed and controlled by nature. So, we don't need to tamper with it at all.
Oh my God. What? What do you mean you don't need to tamper with natural selection? If you tamper with natural selection, it ceases to be natural selection. It becomes artificial selection. You do understand how ridiculous you sound, right?
Nature will show you who is genetically superior and who isn't, just based off your own existence. Now, white people are not able to do this. And this is just a simple fact. They are not able to do this because at the end of the day, and that doesn't mean that you cannot procreate, that white women cannot get pregnant. That doesn't have anything to do with it. That means that you are not able to ensure the survival of your species. Meaning, if more of you are dying than being born, and it's not because someone is physically killing you off, that means you cannot survive genetically the survival of your species. That means you cannot do that. That's just what that means. I don't control that. I don't control your genetics. So I don't have anything to do with that. These are just the facts of what you're not able to do. Black people and other races are able to do it. Animals are able to do it. Dogs can do it. Cats can do it. Bugs can do it. White people can't do it. I'm inclined to believe literally that at this point, dogs will outlive white people. And that's just really what it is right now. So I need to know, for all you white trolls, how is it that you are intellectually superior, intellectually and otherwise, and yet, despite your intellect and technological medical advances that you stole from Africans and other races of people, but
this is one of the more remarkable claims that you make, Cynthia G, where you claim that white people have stolen medical advances from African Americans. I tried to look it up. I couldn't find anything. So, citation needed? Yeah? Citation, evidence of any kind? Possibly? No? Okay.
You're saying that they're yours. So let's just say hypothetically they are yours. They are yours. You do have this high level of intelligence. Why is it that none of this intelligence has been able to make you ensure genetic survival? Why is it that none of your intellectual superiority is able to ensure that you will be existing? Because it doesn't matter how smart you are if you don't exist. So my thing is if you're really that smart, why is it that you can't even do the one basic thing that the people that you claim to be superior to is able to do? You can say black people are as flawed as you want to. You can say we commit crimes, although you clearly commit more. You can say that we have kids out of wedlock. Who cares? Your moral system determines whether you have kids out of wedlock. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're wrong. That's a subjective belief based on your spiritual system that you created and want to enforce on everyone else. So you saying somebody having kids out of wedlock is basically a moot point to me. It's meaningless because you only determined that that's wrong based on your flawed belief system, because then you're the same ones that thought slaving and murdering and raping and torturing everyone on the planet, including the planet, was right. So at this point, I don't even care about you saying that. My thing is answer me this question for the white trolls. And if you come on here saying stuff, I'm just going to delete your comment and block you. So you're just going to waste your time. So you could do that. You could be a troll, or you could try to prove me wrong and prove that you are intellectually superior by giving me some facts and by answering these simple questions. If you are superior, genetically, intellectually, or otherwise, why is it that superiority haven't enabled you to survive and do things that the people who are supposed to be inferior to you actually can do? That's what you guys can answer for me, because animals can do that, we can do that, bugs can do that, birds can do that, sea life can do that. Why can't you? Because you're dying off. That's what I want to know. And you can sit here and debate and say that you're not dying off, but I can get you a lot of evidence that you are. And
as exciting as all of this rhetoric is, before I jump into proving you wrong, I just want to know the answer to one question, and that is, what is rapering? I looked it up, and the dictionary kicked back the results of "da fuck." It doesn't know what rapering is, and neither do I, for that matter. So if you could clarify that, that'd be great. Anyway, since you don't provide any actual evidence in your extraordinary claims, I figured I might try to go figure out what the hell you're talking about. And the best thing that I could find, or the closest thing I could find to your claim, is the Census Bureau, which is a department of the government. What their projected numbers are for the period between 2014 and 2060. It's a 46-year projected stat. Anyway, if you look at that stat, which it'll be on screen, you can see that the non-Hispanic white portion, which is a little over half of the biggest portion of our population here in the United States, much larger than the black or African American portion. Despite your radical claim that black people are more genetically able to survive than white people. However, you can see that the non-Hispanic white population is projected to decrease by 8.2% over the next 46 years. It's important to know that this is just a projected graph. It does not necessarily reflect reality. Though it doesn't necessarily do that. But more important to that, and the big reason that your argument is so disingenuous, is that you really got to look and find out why. And interestingly enough, and though I imagine that for you it's heavy reading, interestingly enough, they have given us the rundown of why they believe that will be the case. Let's go ahead and flash to that on screen. If you want to go ahead and just turn your attention to the portion that I've highlighted for you, it'll greatly ease your learning in this topic. But while you do that and let it soak in, I'm just going to go ahead and read the whole portion that really does matter. The non-Hispanic white alone population is currently the majority group, as it is both the largest racial and ethnic group and accounts for greater than a 50% share of the nation's total population. However, by 2060, the share of this group is projected to be just 44%, as its population falls from 198 million in 2014 to 182 million in 2060. See Table 2. The point at which the non-Hispanic white alone population will continue or will comprise less than 50% of the nation's total population has been described as the point at which we become the majority minority nation. According to these projections, the majority minority crossover will occur in 2044. While the non-Hispanic white alone population is projected to remain the largest single group, no group will have a majority share of the total, and this is the part that really matters, the United States will become a plurality of racial and ethnic groups. 2 or more races population is projected to be the fastest growing over the next 46 years. What this simply means is that white people are getting married to non-white people. And because we are the majority of the population, it would seem obvious that we are going to mix with the rest of the population. This is just basic common sense, Cynthia. This isn't hard to look up. The research on this only took 5 minutes. You are disingenuous. You are a liar. You are a racist. You are ignorant. You are prejudiced. And you're just an all-around kind of a stupid person. You know that? It's freaking astonishing.
I don't even need to provide you with evidence that you are. Provide me with some that you're not. Because remember, you're smarter than me. You're intellectually superior to me. So I'm giving you this opportunity to educate me. Educate me and provide me with some evidence that your species is not dying off and that you actually are ensuring genetic survival, which we can do, although we're inferior to you, and you can't do. So that will make me stop talking about all of this myth, and I will actually get on a video and say that this is true. I will give you your props where they're due. If you can give me some evidence from a reputable source that you actually can ensure genetic survival. Because with all of your intelligence, surely you can ensure surely you can do that. Surely you can make sure that your intelligence is going to actually exist 100 years from now. Surely you can actually show me that your intelligence is actually going to enable you to create some medical technology that's going to stop you from dying off. So how about you do that? Because the thing of it is I'm willing to bet that if you can't even stop yourself from burning in the sun, then you probably cannot stop yourself from dying off. But here is the challenge. So educate me, since you guys are so smart. Like, comment, and subscribe, and share the video.
I want to take a second to bring up a few of the inaccuracies that you stated. White people and black people are not a different species. Both white and black people are human beings. We are of the same species. You know, and I wouldn't be nitpicking at that if it wasn't for the fact that you bring it up over a dozen times in your video, which tells me that you do not even have a keen grasp on a word as simple as species. That you want to tell the wider world that black people are genetically superior to white people, and you don't even have a firm grasp on the definition of the word species. That's friggin' astonishing. And what on earth white people being prone to burning in the sun has to do with our genetic superiority or lack thereof, claimed or otherwise, by yourself, not by me? I can't possibly imagine. Our two races have different genetic dispositions to different climates, which means that individually we fare better in different climates. That would mean individually, I guess, we are superior in one climate, whereas black people are superior in another climate. It seems like a very small difference to me. And that really is what bugs me about this whole thing, is that what you're doing is not only deceptive, but it's also divisive. And that's a word I encourage you to go look up. You need to go look up what divisive is. by spreading this kind of ignorance and stupidity, you serve to only further divide two races which really need to stick together right now. I hope maybe, and I doubt it'll happen, but I hope maybe you might take some time to do a little soul searching and really look in the mirror and think about the way that you're acting and the ideas that you're putting out into the world, and whether or not they have any merit or any kind of value. Alright guys, I'm not going to ask you to like, comment, and subscribe, but if you got something out of this video or you have something to say, I'd love to hear from you.